Welcome to today's deep dive. It is May 14th, 2026, and I really want you to start by picturing a very specific scene today.
Okay, let's hear it.
So imagine it is the dead of night.
Right.
You are completely dead to the world, just sound asleep, and out of nowhere, your phone shatters the silence.
All the worst feeling.
Right. You roll over, groggy, you grab the device, and the caller ID just says, "You no new."
Okay.
You answer it. But the voice on the other end of the line, it's yours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It is your own voice, but it sounds fundamentally wrong. Like it sounds older,
Yeah.
deeply exhausted, and it's distorted by this heavy static.
That's terrifying.
And your voice starts giving you a terrifyingly specific set of instructions on how to survive tomorrow.
See, that is an incredibly potent psychological hook.
Yeah.
Because we are biologically hardwired to recognize our own cadence, our own pitch.
Right. Obvious.
So hearing it divorced from our own body, speaking to us from the outside with absolute terrifying authority, it just bypasses all of our normal rational defenses.
You can't ignore it.
Exactly. You cannot simply hang up that phone. You are completely compelled to listen.
Well, that chilling scenario isn't just some nightmare. It's actually the exact inciting incident of the notes you sent us today.
Yeah, and it's quite a stack of source material.
It really is. It's on something called The Voice in the Phone. And on the surface, this is an English learning bedtime story.
Right, it's labeled as episode oh 07 in a broader series.
Exactly. But if you look just one layer deeper, it is disguising this massive, incredibly intricate sci-fi and supernatural thriller straight inside a language lesson.
It's brilliant.
So our mission today is to pull this apart, see how the gears turn, because the architecture of this story is just wild.
The brilliance of this source material really lies in its escalating scale. It takes a very localized, intimate horror trope, the scary midnight phone call,
Right.
and it rapidly expands it into this sweeping narrative concerning forgotten civilizations, secret societies, and really the crushing psychological weight of preserving human knowledge.
It's heavy stuff.
It never lets the listener settle.
Okay, let's unpack this setup. We begin with the catalyst for the entire mystery. Our protagonist, Sarah, wakes up to this unknown call. The distorted version of her own voice delivers a stark command. It says, "Don't go to work tomorrow. Don't take the elevator."
And that's it.
Yeah. There is no exposition, no grand explanation of time travel mechanics, just a raw imperative.
Which is such a smart choice. The author deliberately strips away the context to force Sarah into a state of hypervigilance.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Think about it. If the future voice had called and spent 20 minutes explaining the physics of temporal displacement,
Like, here's how wormholes work.
right, the tension would completely evaporate. By giving her only the command, the story grounds the supernatural element in immediate practical paranoia.
And the terrifying validation of that paranoia arrives the very next morning.
Oh, yeah.
So Sarah and her colleague, Alex, are at the office. Sarah, actually heeding the warning, takes the stairs.
Smart move.
A few minutes later, a deafening crash echoes down the hall. Just chaos erupts. They quickly learn the elevator stopped between floors, the main cable snapped, and 3 people are trapped inside. Emergency services are swarming the building.
Notice how the snapping of the elevator cable functions as, like, a structural metaphor here.
How do you mean?
Well, we all step into elevators blindly trusting the engineering, right?
Oh, sure.
Trusting the mundane infrastructure of our lives. When that cable snaps, it isn't just a close call for Sarah.
It's bigger than that.
It represents the permanent severing of her reality.
Yeah.
The moment she and Alex hear that crash, the ordinary world they understood is gone forever.
Because the physics of their universe have been rewritten.
Exactly.
Because the voice knew.
Which fundamentally changes the stakes for the second call.
Right.
Because that night, Sarah is awake. She is waiting for the phone to
She
ring.
knows it's coming.
Right. And the voice calls back, confirming it is indeed a future version of herself.
But the critical detail here is that the voice claims to be calling from a wrong future.
A wrong future.
A timeline where things went catastrophically badly because Sarah didn't listen. The connection is unstable, full of static. Future Sarah struggles to get the words out.
And the concept of a wrong future is really doing heavy lifting here.
Yeah.
It transforms the narrative from a standard horror survival story into a proactive mission.
Okay, I see that.
In most horror, the protagonist is just a passive victim reacting to a monster,
Like running from the slasher.
Exactly. But here, the monster is the timeline itself. By framing it as a wrong future, The story forces Sarah to become an active participant.
She has to fix it.
Right. She isn't just saving herself. She's burdened with correcting the course of history.
And future Sarah gives her very precise instructions to make that correction. She tells past Sarah to find a blue notebook hidden in Alex's apartment specifically, the third drawer on the left side.
Very specific.
Then she needs to visit a library, find a man named Mr. Lee, and ask him about November 14th, 1962.
Great.
Before the static consumes the call, future Sarah offers one final reassurance. She says, "You are going to be okay."
Yeah.
Now, getting a call from a wrong future is basically it's like getting a patch update for a video game from a player who already lost the game.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. They are handing you the cheat codes because their playthrough is already completely ruined.
That analogy perfectly captures the utility of the call, but we also have to consider the emotional toll of that patch update.
Well, actually, wait, let me push back on the mechanics of that update for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Because if future Sarah gives past Sarah the exact cheat codes to survive and past Sarah successfully navigates the danger, doesn't that erase the tragic timeline entirely? Meaning the future Sarah who suffered through the wrong future will never exist to make the call in the first place.
The classic paradox.
It's a massive grandfather paradox. It threatens to just collapse the whole plot.
I mean, from a purely theoretical physics standpoint, yes, it's a glaring paradox.
Right.
But look closely at how the source material navigates around it. The author refuses to get bogged down in temporal mechanics.
They just ignore it.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
They choose instead to anchor the scene entirely in emotional resonance. The wrong future isn't presented as a puzzle to be solved on a chalkboard.
Right.
It is a profound emotional sacrifice. The future Sarah is effectively accepting her own erasure from existence to give her past self a fighting chance.
Oh, wow. I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah. When she says, "You are going to be okay," it is the ultimate act of self-annihilation out of love.
That's incredibly dark, but also kind of beautiful.
And that emotional weight gives Sarah the necessary courage to cross the threshold into the unknown.
And she crosses that threshold immediately. She doesn't even wait for morning.
Yeah, she doesn't.
She calls her colleague Alex at 2 a.m., completely shocking him by demanding to know about a hidden blue notebook in his apartment.
And her aggression here is totally justified.
Right, she's running on adrenaline.
These specific instructions from the future aren't just arbitrary scavenger hunt clues. They are breadcrumbs designed to pull the curtain back on a hidden global history.
Yeah, and Alex is stunned because he has literally never mentioned this notebook to anyone.
Because it wasn't his.
Exactly. It belonged to his late grandfather, James Kim, who everyone thought was just this well-traveled historian.
Right.
But the notebook reveals a staggering secret. For 40 years, James Kim was operating as a guardian.
A guardian.
And the notebook contains the history of a group called the Marathi.
See, the introduction of the Marathi completely shifts the genre of our story.
It really does.
We are no longer dealing with localized time travel phenomena.
We're going global.
The Marathi are described as an ancient civilization completely unremembered by modern history.
Yeah.
No sovereign nation claims them. No archaeological record holds them. They vanished, leaving behind a legacy built on a singular, radical philosophy.
And their philosophy was that knowledge is the ultimate currency.
Yeah.
Like, more precious than gold, more vital than power. And they didn't just believe this abstractly either.
No, they acted on it.
They built 7 hidden cities across the 7 continents explicitly to serve as vaults for this ancient knowledge.
But they understood that simply burying the knowledge wasn't enough.
Right, because it could be lost forever.
Exactly. Information requires stewardship. So they established a lineage of guardian pairs.
Like James Kim.
Like James Kim. The notebook explicitly states that these guardians exist to ensure the cities are only discovered by the right people.
The right people.
Individuals possessing good hearts, curious minds, and brave spirits.
I look at the Marathi like they are the ultimate open source software developers.
Okay, I like that.
Right. They have compiled this incredible world-changing code, but instead of making it public on GitHub for anyone to download, they've encrypted the server so heavily that only certified ethical hackers can ever access the data.
Right.
They want the software used, but they are terrified of a malicious user weaponizing it.
That open source analogy highlights a central thematic paradox in the text, actually.
Which is?
The paradox of preserving knowledge by actively hiding it.
Right.
We usually equate the hiding of information with censorship or tyranny. Information wants to be free, that was the old saying.
Yeah, exactly.
But the Marathi operated on a deeply cynical, perhaps realistic, view of human nature. They believed that unfiltered access to ultimate knowledge would just destroy a fragile species.
Because we'd misuse it.
Exactly. The knowledge is a currency, but it's a highly radioactive one.
That makes sense.
And James Kim, leaving this specific notebook for his grandson, wasn't an oversight. He was implicitly passing the torch.
Taggart.
Alex and Sarah being drafted into a war they didn't even know existed.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to jump in here and play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay, do it.
Because the text seems to just accept the Marathi's philosophy without question, and I am really struggling with the inherent morality of these so-called guardians. Well, are the guardians actually the heroes of this story if they are hoarding world-changing knowledge for themselves?
I see what you mean.
Think about the implications. If these 7 hidden cities contain knowledge that could cure devastating diseases, or, I don't know, solve the global energy crisis, or end famine, keeping that information locked away in the dark feels fundamentally criminal.
It's a fair point.
Who elected the Marathi? Who gives James Kim or any other guardian the authority to dictate who qualifies as the right people?
Yeah.
They are operating as an unelected, unaccountable shadow government of information. It's just pure gatekeeping masquerading as a noble stewardship.
It is a phenomenal ethical question.
Yeah.
And you are hitting on the exact tension that makes this narrative so compelling.
Well, thank you.
The line between safeguarding and gatekeeping is incredibly thin. Often, it's practically invisible.
Right.
History is littered with institutions that claim to be protecting the public from dangerous ideas, only to use that monopoly on information to maintain their own power.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
So your critique of their unelected authority is spot on. However, the author introduces a counterbalance to justify the Guardians' extreme secrecy.
A counterbalance?
If the Guardians are hoarding the knowledge, it's only because they are locked in a perpetual arms race with a faction that intends to exploit it.
Oh, you're talking about the Hollow Men.
Yes, the Hollow Men. The final pages of James Kim's notebook introduce this immediate threat.
Right.
He writes a desperate warning, added much later in a completely different ink, detailing this organization.
And the notes describe them as an organization that has been operating in the shadows for 200 years.
2 centuries.
They are patient, highly organized, and lethal, and their motive provides the exact justification you were just talking about.
Right.
They don't want to preserve the Marathi knowledge for the betterment of mankind. They want to extract it, control it, and use it to subjugate others.
The Hollow Men represent the inevitable weaponization of information.
Yeah.
In your earlier analogy, if the Marathi are the open-source developers trying to prevent malicious users,
Right.
the Hollow Men are the state-sponsored hackers trying to steal the source code to build a digital superweapon.
That is a terrifying thought.
The text presents a world where neutral, free information simply cannot exist.
Yeah.
It will either be guarded by the cautious or weaponized by the ambitious.
It's basically an ideological war of attrition.
Exactly.
And Sarah, reeling from a phone call from a dead timeline, is suddenly forced to choose a side.
Yeah,
She obviously chooses the faction that isn't actively hunting her down.
fair choice.
But up until this point, the Hollow Men and the Guardians are just abstract concepts written in old ink.
They're just ideas.
Right. To make the stakes visceral, the story sends Sarah to fulfill her second instruction from the future.
Which was visiting the library.
Right. Visit the library and find Mr. Lee.
And this sequence provides the emotional anchor for the entire geopolitical conspiracy.
It really grounds it.
Abstract ideological wars only really matter when we see the collateral damage.
So Sarah enters the library and approaches the front desk. And Mr. Lee appears entirely mundane.
Very normal.
He's just an elderly man with white hair and kind eyes, stamping books. But the moment Sarah asks him about the specific date, November 14th, 1962, the atmosphere in the room completely shatters.
It drops instantly.
His hands freeze. The facade of the kindly librarian just dissolves.
His immediate response is to quietly ask, "Who told you to ask me that?"
Chills.
It is the chilling reaction of a deep cover operative realizing his decades-long cover has just been blown by a total stranger.
So he pulls her aside, and he recounts the events of that date. He says he was at a house at the end of Elm Street, number 14.
Right.
He was trying to protect a family named the Whites.
The White family, yeah.
And Mr. Lee explains that something had entered the house, an entity or force he had encountered before. He believed he had the knowledge and the power to stop it, to protect the family, but he failed.
And the narrative isolates one specific agonizing detail to convey the magnitude of that failure.
It focuses on Thomas.
Right, the young boy of the White family.
As the entity was taking him, Thomas managed to slip a hastily written note under the door to Mr. Lee.
Yeah.
And the note simply read, "Don't give up on us."
It is absolute emotional whiplash.
Completely.
We go from discussing ancient global vaults and open source code metaphors straight into the raw trauma of a child begging for his life.
And that note is the emotional crux of Mr. Lee's existence.
It defines him.
He reveals to Sarah that because of that catastrophic failure, he has remained stationed at this specific library for 60 years.
60 years.
He is the oldest active guardian. He has spent 6 decades surrounded by accessible public knowledge, quietly agonizing over his inability to protect the hidden knowledge.
Just sitting in a chair for half a century.
Yeah.
Waiting for the right people to finally arrive so they can finish the war he failed to win.
It totally recontextualizes the role of a guardian, you know?
How do you mean?
Like, it's not Indiana Jones globetrotting for artifacts.
Well, right.
It's a life of paralyzing isolation and survivor's guilt.
Yes.
Mr. Lee is the archetype of the seasoned, broken veteran coming out of a 60-year retirement to guide the new recruit.
But his trauma makes the threat of the Hollow Men undeniably real for Sarah.
Oh, for sure.
Mr. Lee serves as a narrative bridge. He connects the ancient, almost mythological lore of the Marathi cities to the immediate, terrifying reality of the Hollow Men.
Right.
And finally ties it all directly to Sarah's quest. He embodies the sheer physical and psychological toll of carrying these secrets.
And he validates the urgency of Sarah's mission.
Mm-hmm.
He reaches steadily under his desk and hands her a small brass key.
A brass key.
He informs her that she has miraculously gathered 3 of the 4 necessary pieces to move forward.
Right. She survived her encounter at Mira.
Yep.
She retrieved the letter on the train. And she possesses James Kim's blue notebook.
But with that validation comes a terrifying reality check.
Always does.
Because Mr. Lee confirms that the Hollow Men are fully aware of her existence.
They know she's out there.
They have been tracking her since she entered Mira, and they are accelerating their plans. The Shadow War is no longer in the shadows.
The race to the second city is officially underway.
He provides her next set of clues, telling her she will need the key and the full moon to find the next location.
The global puzzle box is opening up.
It really is. But before Sarah leaves the library to face this impossible mission, Mr. Lee makes one final, deeply personal request.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with ancient cities or saving the world. He looks at Sarah and says, "Tell Thomas when you find him that Mr. Lee never forgot. Not for one day."
It is a masterstroke of storytelling.
It broke my heart.
The author takes a narrative dealing with the fate of human civilization and distills all of those massive stakes down to a single, unfulfilled promise to a frightened child.
Wow.
It argues that the preservation of ancient knowledge is ultimately meaningless if we lose our humanity in the process.
Right.
The real mission isn't just protecting cities. It's proving to Thomas that humanity is worth not giving up on.
It just leaves you breathless.
It really does.
Because if we look back at the sheer ground we've covered in these notes, I mean, we began with a groggy protagonist answering a phone call in the dark.
Right, listening to her own distorted voice warn her about a frayed elevator cable.
Exactly. And from that single eerie moment, we unravel a hidden map to 7 global cities.
A forgotten civilization that valued information over gold.
A ruthless 200-year-old syndicate seeking to weaponize that data.
And an elderly librarian carrying 60 years of agonizing guilt over a boy named Thomas.
It is an absolute masterclass in escalating stakes and compounding mysteries.
And as we conclude our analysis of this source material, the narrator's final thought in the text leaves us with a lingering philosophical question.
Okay, lay it on me.
And it extends far beyond the borders of the story.
Right.
We dedicate immense resources to learning from the past, right?
Sure.
We study history books, we analyze ancient ruins, we pore over notebooks left by our grandfathers to avoid repeating old mistakes.
Makes sense.
But imagine the profound, almost unbearable psychological burden of having to learn from your own future.
Oh, man.
If your phone rang at 2 a.m. tonight, and through the static, your future self could grant you one single, desperately urgent warning to alter the course of your life.
Yeah.
What do you genuinely hope that voice would say?
Man, that is the kind of question that will keep you staring at the ceiling tonight.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through the notes you provided. Remember to always question the information around you, examine who is guarding it, and ask yourself why. Have a great day, everyone.